All right, welcome to the show. Tim and I on Investing Bros just about an hour ago had a crypto talk where we battled out the idea of, is the Bitcoin top possibly behind us? How soon might we hit the Bitcoin top ahead of us? And how to time the top. And I played the bear's advocate and I went through all of the bearish scenarios that I currently saw in the charts. Now, don't get too freaked out. I'm not calling the Bitcoin top as booked, but I want us to examine the bearish scenario as well as the bullish scenario to get a realistic perspective of how much time do we have left in this Bitcoin cycle. It isn't going to be the same as the previous cycles, but we're going to look at the past to determine clues of how this cycle might go. We're going to talk about some top news stories. In that conversation, where we left off, Tim started to talk with T-Shroom about coin and it being a signal of its own. I'm going to have him take a minute and I'm going to have him explain that. We're going to chart coin and we're definitely going to have a lightning round of crypto projects. And I'm going to give you guys my top coins that I like right now. And I'm going to press these two gentlemen, these two crypto degens. I'm going to press them to what do they like? What's the most attractive crypto project they have right now? This is the Stocks with Josh show. I appreciate you guys joining me. Please smash that like button. Just say hi in the comments. Drop a heart. You know the emoji of this show. Why is it a heart? Well, there is love here, but it's also because you better have the heart and the courage to step up to the plate and take risk, because scared money does not make any money. It goes broke. Mark, thank you for joining me. Tim, thank you for joining me. Mark, why don't you just lead us off? I'm going to hit you with this question. Right off the bat, I'm curious, where do you feel, and we're going to get into some technicals here, if you had to guess right now, how high do you see Bitcoin going and how soon do we get there? At what point are we going to get the Bitcoin top, in your opinion, if you just had to give a raw guess right now?
Yeah, I think I've gone for about 170K, and I think the top's likely to be around, might come a little bit earlier, August, September, but however, we've seen a little bit of an unusual deep correction in February, so maybe it does get to October, November, but I'm going with late August, September.
Okay. I hate that answer.
Well, I know you had June. I watched one of your videos
No.
You said June, coming a little bit earlier than what I thought. But, the last cycle we saw, a big almighty crash in April, and everybody thought that was the end. And then it crashed down. It took a full 2 months to find its bottom in June. It went sideways to July, and then July we fly. And it'd be hard for me to say that July, August be in a bear market. So I believe July we fly into August, and then we go into a little bit of Rectember early. And I think people will just be thinking, oh, it's the usual drop in September, but that might be the end. Might come a little earlier.
Well, I think that that's possible, and it would have a lot to do if we cooled off right now. So that would be my view, but I like it. I thank you for putting your butt out there on the line and sharing what you think. I'm going to go into the Bitcoin chart and I'm going to chew things up and put some things into perspective. But before I did, I wanted everybody to put their butt on the line and give their opinion. Tim, where do you think we're at right now? Pure raw guess. When do we get the top? And curious how high you think it'll go.
Yeah, if you hated Mark's answer, you're really gonna hate my answer, Josh. So we're on a different playing field here. I love hearing other people's opinions, love how things work out. I made a video back early January, talked about why the bull market will not end at the end of 2025, why the 4-year cycle is dead. And if anyone's watching this right now and says, I don't know what Tim means by the 4-year cycle, that is the concept that people, especially in the crypto world, are tracking Bitcoin, but also altcoin markets, saying, hey, we see a lot of patterns since the beginning of Bitcoin. We see this roughly 4-year pattern. It's technically like 3 years, 11 months or something like that. But there's this roughly 4-year pattern that people are expecting to play out again. Now, stay with me here. I'm on my chart, and I think people can see this still in that bottom right corner. But I have a bone to pick with the 4-year cycle continuing and why I believe it will not continue. Let me go to a longer chart here. So the first thing to understand, Bitcoin is not an old or mature asset. I know it feels like it is. I know it seems like we've had Bitcoin for a while. Bitcoin was only founded in 2009. Okay. So it's not even 20 years old. It doesn't have years and years and years of massive institutional adoption that comes with a lot of patterns and different tendencies. Up until this bull market, institutions really didn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. I'm not talking about Elon and Tesla and, of course, Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy. They invested early in 2021. But with the exception of those two, not a lot of institutions wanted to touch Bitcoin at all. But let me explain the 4-year cycle kind of pattern thing happening here. And you're going to see different lines. These lines represent halving events. That would take me a long time to go in that one. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But what people need to understand is the halving events have significant impact on this concept of a 4-year cycle. But let's get into it. So Bitcoin started in 2009. All right. The first major top we had was in 2011. About 2 years later, we had a pullback, and then a halving event happened in 2012. But 09 to 09 to 12, nothing. There's nothing there. We don't know what's even happening. We have a bear market in 2011, and then the next bull market top before a long winter is going to be in December of 2013. So you can kind of go 09 to 2013 or 11 to 2013. That was the first 4-year depiction of what happened. Now, there's no pattern here, right? The first time anything happens, it just happened. It happened that we had a major bull market top 4 years after the founding of the coin, okay? Let's go from 2013 to the next major bull market top before the next great winter. That would be here in December of 2017. Again, we're talking about November to December, little over 4 years, a little more than 4 years, but overall, a coincidence has developed. Well, we went from 4 years being, all right, from 09 to 2013, we had a 4-year gap. Then from 2013 to 2017, we have another 4-year gap separating the peaks and the beginnings. But let's be real here. A pattern cannot be formed after only 2 occurrences. 2 occurrences simply means there's a coincidence. Coincidentally, we have this 4-year separation. Now let's keep going, because the 4-year cycle concept really became very big in 2020 and 2021, where 4 years later, after December 2017, or 3 years, 11 months, we top out again in November of 2021. Well, guess what? Now we have a pattern, right? We didn't see it just happen 1 time or 2 times. We've now seen it happen 3 times. So now we have a 4-year pattern, and I get that. But as I said before, institutions were not heavily involved until this bull market. And if there's one thing I think all 3 of us and everyone in chat will agree on, even though there's going to be a lot of other things we disagree on, it is that institutions love manipulating the assets they get into so that they can reap the rewards, not the retail investors. Okay. But until 2023, 2024, institutions kind of avoided crypto like the plague because they just weren't certain about it. My concept at this point, the reason why I don't think the 4-year cycle is going to continue, and then I'll explain why I think it extends, is because retail investors like you and me who've got used to this 4-year pattern now and have seen it played out 3 times, we are going to be looking at that September, October area of 2025 and saying, man, that makes a lot of sense to be the next 4-year cycle top. We'll sell off. We'll have a nice long winter. This time, we're not going to mess it up. I mean, a lot of people missed the 2017 top. A lot of people missed the 2021 top. Not everybody, but a lot. And now, we're not going to miss it this time. We're going to pinpoint it correctly. We're going to get there September, October. Okay, institutions are not going to let that happen. They are not going to let retailers like you and me choose the top or the bottom of a market. They're now in full control. So this leaves me with 2 possibilities. Number 1, we're going to top early, and everyone's going to keep holding on longer. And then by the time they sell, we've already been midway through a bear market and they've lost all of their gains. The other option is that we extend. And what happens is Bitcoin has a very small level of liquidity, not liquidity, excuse me, a small amount of supply. And these institutions who want to make billions, who understand that Bitcoin in 20, 30 years from now will be in the millions of dollars per coin. They've got to create a special way to get this supply away from the average retail investor. And they've got to look for excuses and reasons to convince retail to sell. Well, if retail is going to sell heavily in September, I actually believe that what we're going to see happen is we're going to get into September, October. We're going to see another local top, not market top, local top where massive retail sells off. Maybe we even see a 50% dip quickly. But I think that's the great excuse for institutions then to buy up that heavy supply, to then extend it even further. And that's why I personally believe that the Bitcoin bull market, the crypto bull market will extend later. And there are some if-then statements here, right? If we enter into a recession very soon, and you can go off my screen now because at this point, I'm done with the chart here. If we went into a recession early, then we will have an early bear market. That was one of the concerns we were looking at who the next president of the United States was going to be. There was this overwhelming feeling that if Donald Trump won, we'd have a good economy. If Kamala Harris won, we'd have a questionable economy. And there are people speculating if Kamala Harris wins, which at one point it looked like she might have had a chance, the market started to move to the downside because they were kind of pricing in if she earns the presidency, we're probably going to see an early Q1 or Q2 recession. If a recession happens in the United States, as great as Bitcoin is as a long-term fight against inflation, it's still considered a risk asset. Altcoins are 100% risk assets. A recession, just like in 2022, would plummet the markets absolutely. So if that happens, yes, an early top, I do believe would happen. But what I'm seeing happen, inflation is not at an all-time high. Inflation's nowhere close to an all-time high. I think that with some things that Trump is instituting, a recession is going to hit us at some point. But I think that we're going to be able to push it down the road into the end of 2026 and maybe sometime in 2027 or maybe even later. And I legitimately see a problem right now in the markets as institutions are for the first time ever trying to get into crypto, but they understand, especially with Bitcoin, there's only so many tokens you can get your hands on, and there's a lot of whales in the retail space that refuse to part with their coins. They need a great excuse to get those coins away from them. There's going to be a small sell-off in September, October, but then the market continues and we keep going to the upside. Price-wise, this is where, again, you're not going to like my answer because I don't really have a great one. I think 220,000 is an interesting spot based off of some calculations and mathematics I've done in the past. But I've seen an increasing thought process around 350,000. I don't think 350,000 really is going to happen this cycle. I do think that's a little too high. But I think that this is a market where people are struggling with some trauma from 2021, thinking this is going to be another disappointment, when in reality, we're going to watch trillions of dollars that no one was expecting to come in from the institutional space. I think retail gets left out. Instead of this time holding the bag, I think retail gets left out because they sold way too early. And by the time they buy back in, that big move is going to be the next local top. My expectation, I think sometime 2026, maybe we squeak into 2027, but that's my thoughts.
Did you just say that we were going to top in Bitcoin in 2026 or 2027?
That is exactly what I said, yeah.
I'm loving this show already, guys. This is a crypto summit.
I resonate with some of the things that Tim said. I think he's got some solid data there. And I would say that the way I've been thinking of it, and what I've been sharing on my channel and chats I've had with Josh, is that I do think Bitcoin can continue, but I think altcoins will find a bear market. I do. I think what we saw in the reaccumulation phase from, kind of around March, April through to around September, October, Bitcoin dropped around 28% or something, and the altcoins just fell off a cliff. And so I still think the 4-year cycle is going to play out, but I think Bitcoin possibly won't drop as heavy. I would agree with my brother Tim there. 50% seems like a more reasonable kind of level that it could drop. If we saw a 28% drop just in the reaccumulation period, we could certainly see a little bit of a bigger one. And each cycle, Bitcoin has dropped less each time. So I could certainly see how there is, and people might see that as a continuation if there's a bit of a drop in Bitcoin. But I still think a lot of the altcoins are going to take an absolute hammering. I mean, you look at a lot of the altcoins on this Sunday's dip. I mean, they were down 70, 80%, 50% from their all-time highs. Only a few strong tokens really didn't drop below 50% from their all-time highs, and a lot of them are still down there, while Bitcoin didn't really drop much at all. So I do see some validity in some of those points. I don't agree with all of it, but I do think there's a lot of sound reason and judgment in there. And I do think as well, Tim makes a great point here that, we're trying to guess what's going to happen. And he's right. Last time, a lot of people didn't see it coming. And maybe this time people will think they see it coming and sell a little bit early. And maybe there is a little bit of an extension there. That is something definitely worth to be thinking about, not to be out of all of your bags too early. And I do appreciate that. I think that was a good comment.
Well, let's take a minute before I go into my Bitcoin chart perspective and analysis. And let's talk briefly about the concept of Bitcoin dominance. I'm going to come back to you, Tim, and I'll get your opinion, Mark. And the fact is that when we saw that flash crash and that loss of incredible market cap along all of cryptocurrency, we lost a ton of value. And it was really the alts that took the beating, if I understand it correctly. And Tim, would you throw up your Bitcoin dominance chart? I think we hit a new high.
We did.
Yeah. So take a minute and give me your opinion briefly, because we are going to do a lightning round on cryptos. We're not going to have you guys walk away without clear technicals on top projects. So, but I want to dive into the background of this. I want to give a broad perspective of what each of us thinks, and then we'll get into that lightning round. So go ahead, Tim. Talk a little bit about dominance. We still haven't had dominance utterly peak out as of yet.
Well, and that's going to become the question. That is going to become the question of when will this dominance peak out. But if anyone's watching saying, why is Bitcoin dominance important? What does it mean? In simplicity, it just is talking about, if you're looking at the total crypto market cap, which at the moment is sitting at $3.12 trillion. At the moment, Bitcoin, its market cap, I don't have that number right in front of me, but it's 61.41% of the total crypto market cap, right?
And so, what did we, and can you zoom in a little on your chart? What did we hit? Because I had predicted that we would get to 64% was my market prediction.
Yeah.
64.3. And you know what's crazy, Josh, is I back in October thought 64 is a possibility, but then what happened here, and this kind of goes into some of what I'm saying about the cycle being very different, the 4-year cycle not being intact. What we had happen is, if the 4-year cycle, which again is a 3-year 11-month cycle or so, if it had played out the way it should have, we should have topped out at the end of November, early December, right? The last time it happened early January. This time should have been December. And look at what happened here. Look at the 3 weeks in a row that we saw very fast decline. We broke a long-term support level, this rising blue line. Yeah. This very much timeline-wise matched up and had the same appearance as the last altcoin season back here in January of 2021, where we had a nice rally and then fell off a cliff. Similar to what we saw the altcoin season before there in February 2017, where we weren't rallying, but that's because Bitcoin is one of the only cryptos out there. The Bitcoin dominance fell off a cliff. This is a part of the 4-year cycle when an altcoin season starts. Okay. So this is another argument, though, in my camp of, I think the 4-year cycle is done, because 4-year cycle and the way we responded would suggest that this timeline and price wise should have been the top. But it wasn't, as we all know. I mean, look at this chart and look at hindsight. While we did have a very fast dropping of 3 weeks, since then we have worked our way back to the upside, hitting brand new all-time highs. So when we see this altcoin season question, which a lot of people are in chat, I see them asking, what about altcoins? What about altcoins? What about altcoins? It's really hard to answer the question based off the 4-year cycle, because we've already done so many things differently. We hit a brand new all-time high before the halving. Altcoin season did not start the way it was supposed to. I go back to my reason for this. It's the institutional money. We've never seen this much institutional money in crypto as we are seeing it right now. And so our ability to look at the past and look at the cycles and try to predict timeline moving forward, it's breaking every single day in front of our eyes. When in reality, people shouldn't be concerned about altcoins, in my opinion, based off this chart, right? Josh might have some reasons. Mark might have some reasons. I even have certain altcoins that I think people should be worried about right now. But this chart, there's nothing magical that says altcoins can only pump if we're in a true altcoin season with Bitcoin dominance falling. I projected earlier, like a couple of years, about a year and a half ago, I told people I expected crypto's market cap to get somewhere around $11 trillion and Bitcoin to come somewhere closer towards 50 to 45% dominance. Well, that's going to leave us with like $5.5 to $6 trillion of altcoin space. And that would be massive for altcoins. Well, guess what? If institutions come in here, and I know this number is going to sound crazy, so don't laugh at me yet, but just bear with my argument. If Bitcoin shoots to $20 trillion, if crypto shoots to $20 trillion and Bitcoin stays at 60%, that's still massive market cap for altcoins, and altcoins will have massive pumps. It's just that we're so used to this cycle thought process. We're so used to the 4-year cycle. Crypto repeats over and over again that we've convinced ourselves if altcoins are going to pump, this chart has to plummet. And the reality is we're seeing this whole concept, this pattern break in front of our eyes. But I want to kind of reiterate, we're also holding to a pattern that we've only seen happen 3 times. And of those 3 times, not once has institutional money been involved. So I'm getting to a point right now, Josh, where I read this chart. We like watching this chart on the Investing Bros channel. This could go higher. This could start dropping off now. At this point, I think the game has completely changed. It would actually make sense for Bitcoin's dominance to stay high. Why? Because institutions are going to love Bitcoin more than most altcoins anyway. It is the greatest form and source of wealth that the world's ever seen. It's the safest place to keep your money in long term. Why would I sell off all my Bitcoin if I manage a fund of multiple trillions of dollars? Why would I sell off my Bitcoin to try a risky asset in the altcoin space? To me, I actually see a very plausible situation being that Bitcoin dominance maybe still makes its way towards 50%, but stays way higher than we've seen in the past, where you can see Bitcoin dominance in 2018 dropped all the way to 35%. Here in 2021, 2022, we dropped to 40%. I could see it staying a lot higher now because there's going to be so much smart money, institutional money wanting to be safe in Bitcoin. But that doesn't mean that altcoins are done. It doesn't mean they're dead. It's a testament to just how amazing Bitcoin is. And I think a lot of people even watching, because I know, Josh, you do more with stocks and you do crypto as well, but I think people are waking up more in every single day, especially investors. They realize we've never seen anything like Bitcoin. Bitcoin truly is special.
All right,
it should be in everyone's account.
First of all, thank you, Tim. I thought that was a really good explanation of Bitcoin dominance. I'm going to hold my opinions until the end. I'm going to tap Mark on his thoughts regarding Bitcoin dominance. Mark, I'm curious. We had that spike up here where alts got slaughtered. Bitcoin hit 64% in dominance. What does that mean to you right now?
What it means to me is, look, we did see in 2013 a drop of 20% on Bitcoin on the 24th of January, and it didn't recover until late in February. So I'm not seeing this as hugely different from what we've seen on one of the other 4-year cycles. I do think the Bitcoin dominance factor is a little bit of an anomaly there, but I do think it was a little bit of a black swan event there with the tariffs, and I think that happened on the weekend. And I think there was a big liquidation hunt there. And if you look at the data, it was the biggest liquidation event 24-hour in history. And the market makers cashed in there big. And I just thought it was a big money grab. I still think the 4-year cycle is intact. I think that at some point we will see Bitcoin dominance come down. But what I do see here is, and I shared a chart on my show and also on the X platform about Bitcoin decoupling from altcoins. And this is where I'll kind of side with Tim a little bit, is that I do see that, maybe Bitcoin doesn't go as low as usual because there is a decoupling. But part of that happens, and there's another chart where you have pump fun that came into the party in early January of 2023. And that's when the decoupling started to happen, just a few months after it started to move away, because what was happening was people were jumping into all these meme coins, and a lot of them were scams or rug pulls or honeypots, and people were using a lot of money. So what I see now is just a flushing out of those altcoins, getting out of those scam coins, those ones with no utility. And I think there was a time in the market where people made money on that, but I think now people are starting to shift towards the stronger altcoins. And on my show this morning, I shared a massive diagram showing all the different sectors and categories from meme coins, AI, and L1, and it clearly showed the ones that had dropped the least on that chart, and they were the likes of the Solanas, the ONDOs, the SUIs. Hype was one that was on there, and a couple of others. And the rest were all down 70, 80, and some of them were down 90% in a bull run. So I feel, and this is something that Josh and I have shared, and Josh has shared on his show as well, is being in the right altcoins at the right time. And Josh shared a bunch of altcoins on the Sunday night show and a ton of entries. And some of the feedback I got was people were scared buying. They were in absolute fear when they bought, but the next day they were messaging saying, that they were thankful that they got in the entries that were given. They bought the fear, they bought the dip, and now they're, that they're in profit. And so, but some of those altcoins are still down and didn't move very much. And so the ones that Josh had called out had significant and good pumps. So being in the right altcoins at the right time, I think, is going to be absolutely critical. I really, at this point, only want to be in what I would consider multi-cycle coins. That means coins that will survive a bear market. So if the altcoin season goes into a bear market, and let's look at it this way. Back in April of 2021, I was holding a lot of crappy coins, a lot of good stuff. And some of those altcoins topped in April in 2021, and they never, ever recovered. Okay, but the ones that I held that were multi-cycle coins like Bitcoin, like Solana, they lived to fight another day, and I was able to profit from them in this bull run. And so I think the importance of that, and I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing an absolute flush out of the altcoin market. We're going to flush all those crap, scammy coins, pump and dump coins out of the market, and people are going to be moving more into utility coins that will last a bear market.
All right, guys. First of all, thanks you both for your feedback and your perspective on the markets. Guys, this is Mark from Tribal Trades in the blue shirt here, and we've got Tim from Investing Bros. Both of these guys are providing daily incredible crypto content. I want you guys to check out their pages and make sure that you subscribe. And thank you, everybody, for hitting the like. We're going to talk about Ethereum. I'm going to give some perspective on Bitcoin. We're going to do a lightning round. And in that lightning round, I'm going to force these guys to 2-minute coverage. Whether they're done or not, I'm going to start taking them off the screen. But let's quickly acknowledge that Stock Up with Larry Jones has joined the summit conversation. And he's chimed in. First of all, thank you for the super chat, my brother. Right now, I want everybody to make sure to be staying faithful to Stock Up with Larry Jones's page, watching whatever videos he's putting out. He's attending to some family matters, some health issues in the family. And right now, he's doing what he needs to do with his priorities, which is to take care of those things. But we want to make sure that his page is getting attention. He said, number one, Bitcoin will dominate longer. All right. So you've just heard it from a crypto goat. He said that Bitcoin will dominate longer. And you know what? Let's just acknowledge that that's what we're seeing in the chart. Bitcoin is continuing to show dominance. Number two, the alts will have a winter sooner. Boy, I love this. Larry is showing up with some solid predictions. The alts will have a winter sooner, but Bitcoin will only dip 40% in the winter because of institutional money. Love you guys. So thank you, Larry, for showing up. I'm just thrilled that you stopped by and shared your thoughts. So I'm going to kind of respond to all three of them with a quick overview of Bitcoin, and then we're going to get into the alts. And I saw some great questions there. What do the charts say about ETH? ETH is going to be a very big topic today. Knowledge Seeker throwing the bomb saying quantum computing will mess up Bitcoin narrative very soon. I actually also agree that one of the dynamics of FUD that we have down the road is going to be, this story of security. Now, we know that the US dollar and banks are on the lowest part of the totem pole for security. Bitcoin is way higher, but it is going to affect the narrative of bullishness surrounding Bitcoin. So let's go into the Bitcoin chart here on my screen. And I'm going to just go over some basics, guys. So I want to remind people of these things. First of all, one of the first bull runs in 2013 after the halving, the run was a 60,000% move, okay? And then we fell into a winter after we had reached an all-time high, and we had a pretty substantial pullback. I'll give it to you exactly. The market pulled back on Bitcoin 87%. All right. So first bull run, price went up 60,000%. The first winter, price fell 87%. The second bull run for Bitcoin and after the second halving event, Bitcoin had a 12,000% move. Monumental. I mean, this thing is screaming higher, but right away, none of us have to be rocket scientists to acknowledge that the percentage move had lost a ton of steam from the previous cycle. All right. Then we made an all-time high in that cycle up to 20K. I remember that one very well. And we retraced 83.9%. So from the 60K run-up percentage to the 12K run-up percentage, we had dipped 87%. And all we did in the winter this time was shave about 3 to 4% off of that dip. We still got under 80%. Now, we got into 2021, and this is where I was a bigger investor in the story line of crypto. I wasn't, one of the earliest adapters. And in 2021, this bad boy was under $4,000, and it shocked everybody when it ran up 2,000%, right? A lot of people thought the crypto narrative was over, and this thing shot all the way up to around 65. Let's see, the exact number was 66,998, so 67K. But again, you don't have to be, you don't have to be the crypto czar to recognize that from 12,000% down to 2,000%, whoa, baby, are we losing some momentum? And then we got into the winter, this last winter, and I did successfully call the bottom, and very proud of that. And I believe I will successfully call the top. And in the future, I'll be very proud of that. And one of the big dynamics back then was that we had only pulled back 76% versus previous pullbacks that were 87, 84, and we were only back 76%, which brought us from 67K down to 15,500. And everybody was saying back then that we needed to get down to 12K. 12K was the magic bounce number. And I told everybody that it was done. And I based it on the length of crypto winters and the association with the catalyst of the FTX collapse. We had already been overdue the bottom. And then when we were overdue the bottom and we got the catalyst of the FTX collapse, and we're talking at that time, people were saying that USDT would collapse, the stablecoin USDC would collapse. It seemed as if nothing was safe. People were reeling from exchanges and investment firms falling down. I mean, I went and bought a truck a couple years back, and the dude that handled the loan, or the guy at the dealership, said to me that he had lost $300,000 in Ethereum on one of these failed exchanges. And so it was a pretty dark hour, but I still believed that the bottom was in. And that I also saw at that time that we had decreasing percentages down. The last one being 77. So 87, 84, 77. Okay, so I'm telling you, there's not a lot like Bitcoin that is so characteristic of, it's just so consistent. This thing is really consistent. And so now we are sitting 600% up, which actually is less of a difference between 600% and 2K than 2K and 12. So in truth, this would be an absolute banner cycle for Bitcoin. And I think in this number that what's reflected is the institutional adoption and the institutional investing. Because truthfully, apart from that happening, I believe that this would have finished up around 300%. But I actually think we got a double move because of the institutional adoption. Now, the fact is that I didn't show you guys volume, but these illustrations are meant to show you momentum decrease. If I took some time and got into the volume chart, what you're going to see is that we have been ever decreasing in volume and ever decreasing in momentum while price has been going higher. All right, I got my screen nice and dirty. Now let's go back and look at the monthly time frame. Everybody gets their moment to give their opinion. All right, I'm going to give you mine here in just a second. All right, more of it. Okay, these are the monthly candles that we have right now. And my opinion of Bitcoin is going to be very simple, childlike. I'm going to call it pure. I'm not going to consider institutional adoption or crypto czars or Trump or anything at all. I am going to respect the Japanese candles. Okay, this is essentially right here. This one is essentially a tombstone candle, and this one is a bearish harami. And we have in this pattern of candles, actually ever since the November candle, all three of these are bearish. Okay, this wick is too tall, and it really doesn't address this previous December candle with this huge rejection. This is a huge indicator to anybody following the charts that there is a downturn coming. The only way this could have been canceled, and I said this on Tim's show, is if this January candle closed above the top wick, and it didn't. So it left us sort of sitting on the sidelines wondering what will happen next. And then we've got this bearish harami candle, and this is actually more bearish than the gravestone, okay? And the only way this one cancels out is if it turns green. Now, we are February 5th. We are very barely into the month of February, and we've got a ton of time for this to turn green. If it doesn't turn green, then it means that we have some very ominous candles on the top of our Bitcoin run. And I'll tell you that I may repeat myself. It doesn't matter what YouTubers say. It doesn't matter what the crypto czar says. It doesn't matter what catalyst is out there. I'm personally a believer that price is truth, and the trend is revealing itself right now. So it can be canceled, though. And the only way that the current bearish candle setups that we have here gets canceled is to close above the top of January's candle, which for the most part, let me give you the exact number. That would be a close above 102,412. So 102,400. This candle's got to go green, and we got to get above 102,400. Now, I actually think that we will. I think that this candle, February, is a notorious month for a dip, and it's a great famous month for buying the dip and getting the run up. The final pump of Bitcoin is ahead of us. Now, whether it is in the month of April to July, I would guess that it would be there. Okay, but let's say that it's longer, like these guys suppose that it could be. I would say that for all respect and purposes, nobody should be really getting excited about the pump on Bitcoin unless we can clear this $102,400 mark, because these candles are telling us cool your jets. Now, I'm going to take a step back because I just wanted to lay that perspective out there. I will pull the guys back up. The story I told was of decreasing momentum that has been in play since Bitcoin was released. And the fact is that if you take a step back, actually, I want to show you one more thing in the charts to make my final point, because it's just so obvious. Okay. Give me a minute. Right. It's so obvious when you go to look at this chart that, give me 1 second. I like a clean chart. It's not too hard to realize that Bitcoin obviously is straightening out. And this is going to be to Larry Jones' point. Larry Jones' point is largely that the winter ahead of us is not going to be as severe as the pullbacks behind us. Now, if you asked me for my exact prediction, I believe that we will, I'm going to give it to you right now. This is all I can see right now. And my opinion is going to be fluid and liquid like everybody else's, but I'm going to, let's just make a prediction here. So I believe that we'll hit 116,000. So right around here right now, that's my current high-end target. Now, if I pull this down, I believe that we're going to pull back at least 60%. So let me find that exact number. All right. And this would be consistent with other technicals that I would provide on any chart. So you can see that this is a clear area that has operated as support and resistance in the previous cycle. And that's extremely normal for this to peak out and come back and find support on a previous area of resistance. We have one more shelf down here that if 60K broke, 60% down broke, that's actually 47,000 roughly. And so I would say that if we did make it up to 116 and 116 was the end of the bull run, then I would say that I think very realistically, we'd have a 48K bottom in the months ahead. Okay. And I don't think this will happen, but none of us can know how ugly and deep and far down and how FUD driven, maybe Bitcoin genuinely gets hacked in some way. Maybe we find out that the CIA created Bitcoin and they control, the wallets that we thought were, controlled by some creator was, controlled by some ominous party, and people just don't want to hold it. You have no idea the amount of FUD that could possibly come out at the time. Exchanges get over leveraged. In the last crypto cycle, exchanges were so far over leveraged. They lied. They all lied. One of the most interesting studies that was done at the time is somebody went and determined how much Bitcoin was being shown as to tradable on all of the different crypto exchanges. And it was like 60 million Bitcoin. And that doesn't exist. There's only around 19 million. I don't know the exact amount in play right now, but they were showing 3 times, significantly more supply than existed. So stop telling me about the limited supply. These exchanges and market makers are evil and they're corrupt and they have unjust scales, and they will manipulate and create supply with the flick of a finger on a mouse to do what they want to do, right? Unfortunately, that's the way I view it. And so let's just say we keep going lower. This is something that happened, and I don't think this. I'm just talking about extreme situations. So one of the things that we failed to do when we shot up back here was we never came back and back tested this level of 36K. This was a level that people were 31K. Yeah, we never came back and back tested it. So there's been the belief by some that we will come back and back test that level. We should have back tested it then before going higher. Some people believe that we would come back and back test it. Now, I'm not predicting that. I'm just talking about scenarios. If it did come back and back test the level that it failed to back test at the time, that would be a 73%. Pretty similar to very, very close to the level that we got before. I don't know that that will happen. My best guess is that, like stocks and everything else in the market, putting all the storytelling aside, if I kept it very simple, this was the previous area of consolidation and support. And if we if we eventually come back and find our top, this will most likely be the area where we bounce and move forward. And that's right around the 48K. I'm going to let these guys respond and then briefly, and then we're going to do a lightning round of stocks or lightning round of crypto with an initial focus on Ethereum. I'm going to give each of you guys timed minute to respond to that. What you got?
Who's going first?
You go first, Tim.
Okay, so I'm responding to Ethereum, or I'm responding to what you just said.
You're responding to whatever I said, okay. But your time's running. You're already 5 seconds
into it. All right, so my overall response is even the things that are scaring people. This is my mindset when it comes to how I treat Bitcoin. I think about Bitcoin. If you're scared of quantitative computing, if you're scared of the CIA coming out and saying that Bitcoin, they actually created Bitcoin to manipulate the whole thing. You said this earlier, Josh. Quantitative computing is going to come for a lot of other things first. I've heard people say, what if the grid gets knocked out worldwide? If the grid gets knocked out, if quantitative computing happens, if we find out that the CIA created Bitcoin to steal wealth, money is not going to be a problem in your life. Your livelihood and ability to survive is going to become the problem. Bitcoin is the last hope to fix money on this planet because it has gotten so centralized, so controlled. The last hope we have at actually fixing it is Bitcoin. If Bitcoin fails, everything else fails. So to me, is it a gamble? Maybe it's a gamble, but it's the only gamble left to play to actually store wealth and protect yourself against centralized entities. If Bitcoin loses, we all lose.
I love it. And you actually wrapped it up in 1 minute. All right, wow. Mark, you gotta beat that. You got to get it done in 58 seconds. Go, sir.
Well, I think we would be unwise not to consider all the options and alternatives. I think saying this is guaranteed or that is guaranteed would be unwise. I think we should consider all the options that are before us and be prepared for the scenarios. And I'm just really going to stick with what I've said at the beginning, which I think the 4-year cycle is intact. I think that Bitcoin possibly won't go into a winter. It will have a smaller dip. And I think altcoins will go into a bear market and a winter. Usually the low of the election week has historically never been broken. That was 66,800. I would want to revisit that thought when I find out what the Bitcoin top does end up being in the cycle. If it's 170 or 230,000, will determine maybe where it comes back to. But I'm going to stay with the play. I think Josh's charting does bring up some very valid points that we should all consider and be prepared for, however.
Yeah, so thank you. You did a few seconds over, but both of you guys are pros. I will say this. First of all, I'm not bearish. I have not sold any Bitcoin, and I am very reluctant to sell my Bitcoin because I've traded long enough to know that at some point you have to stop trading an asset that you really believe in, and you just have to hold forever, never let it go. And the truth is, if you did that with Bitcoin every single year since it came out, it always would be the right decision because all we are is higher than we ever were before. And as both of these gentlemen have said, the fact is this thing is just heating up. And that we do have corporations like the Magnificent Seven looking seriously at at storing Bitcoin as a reserve, right? A reserve asset. You've got Tesla, who showed them how it was done when he bought millions of dollars of Bitcoin at 36,000. And it was a bump in this last quarter's earnings. One of the reasons why people were, why the stock went up, one of the reasons cited was the growth and the size of his Bitcoin position. And that really, I don't think he's selling his Bitcoin. I don't think Tesla's selling their Bitcoin anytime soon. Yeah. And it'll be an interesting story in the next couple of years to see companies like Apple and Microsoft and Google begin to do the same thing. I think I don't know that we've got that complete inflection point. I think we need things like Donald Trump and the crypto czar to actually make Bitcoin a reserve asset. And then I think we'll see the corporations follow. I do agree with all three of you. I'm including Larry Jones in the fact that I don't believe that the dip down this time will be as severe. And I believe that the place where it dips will be greatly determined by the top, which has not yet been booked. So no matter how bearish you thought my presentation is, please walk away with the idea that I am saying that I don't think the top is in yet. Matter of fact, I feel very confident the top is not in yet. And I think the alts are going to have another day where they fly. And we saw a lot of relative strength and insane weakness in the alts. And one of those that was kind of disappointing and shocking to how low it went was Ethereum. Now, I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to let Tim chart Ethereum. And I'm going to give you a few thoughts on Ethereum. And I'm telling you, for as much time as we're spending, we are not even going to scratch the surface of the amount of technicals, ideas, and news stories that we would love to share with you. So make sure that you hit the subscribe on my show, and make sure that you head over to Mark's from Tribal Trades, and Tim from Investing Bros, because they're going to be continuously delivering great content. Tim,
thank you.
Lead us off. Before I do that, let me just acknowledge really quick this super chat from Juan Duarte. He said, hey, good afternoon. What are your all thoughts on ICP and what price can it go on the rest of this bull run? The price on the daily chart bottom at this price is like at least 5 times 2024 and RSI at 2025. Juan, I put that on the cryptos that we're going to do a lightning round of charting. Guys, I'm going to hold you strongly to fast technicals at this point because it's time to get this thing chock full of info. Tim, you've got 2 minutes on Ethereum because Ethereum's going to get a little bit more time than everything else. Please go, sir.
You know, I was really excited about Ethereum last week before this massive wick, because if you watch my chart and you see what developed here, this was a textbook, beautiful inverse head and shoulders pattern that looked like it was going to play out all the way up to $7,000. Let me go take this head up to this perfect flat neckline here on 4,000. You move that to the breakout spot, $7,100. Okay. And I'm not saying that this is over and can't happen, because I do think Ethereum goes higher than 7,000. That wick, though, definitely makes it muddy. It came down lower to the head. Traditionally, you don't want to see either shoulder go as deep as the head goes. So that's what makes this a little muddy. But you'll see here on the weekly chart, if we can continue to hold, we're only, we're not even halfway through the week. It's only Wednesday. We got a lot further to go. Can we keep a close on this weekly candle above this red line? And for that, I'm going to go to the daily chart. We're in a slightly, whether you want to call it a channel or a wedge, we're in a falling channel or wedge right now, which is bullish. It does say that the market has been consolidating sideways and downwards, but there should be a pop, more than likely back up towards these highs back here at 4,000. And then we get the decision point. If we can rally back up there and start to break through with excessive volume, the volume is going to be very key, that you get a high level of volume confirming the buying pressure. Then we can start talking about 7,000 down the road. And you might be saying, it's been disappointing here. I'll talk later about this with some other coins, but the fact that it only came back up and double topped the highs from March and May, it does make you feel a little bit on the charts discouraged about Ethereum. I'm not going to lie. This is not the best looking altcoin chart. But what I'll move on to and say the reason I'm still bullish on Ethereum is the news coming out. We know that Larry Fink and BlackRock love it. We know that Trump has been buying it a whole lot, and they've announced, Trump and his sons have announced more purchases today. But then there's another article today. I can't remember who bought it. There was a massive institutional purchase of Ethereum that happened today. I say this over and over again on the Investing Bros channel. This is the bull market of institutional adoptions. What coins do you want to hold? Hold the coins that institutions want to buy. What are the coins you want to get out of and get rid of?
Wait. You got to wrap up your Ethereum.
I'm talking about Ethereum. So Ethereum is a coin institutions are buying right now. So what I'm saying on these charts is I think a pop up to 4,000. Let's get high volume, and then we can talk 7,000 down the road.
All right, beautiful. You did a very good job. I'm going to give you a couple thoughts here, a couple thoughts on the notes I wrote, and I'm not going to go into the charts, but I had these additional notes. I'm not going to go into the charts. Bitcoin's consolidating between 90.4. You should snap that line on your chart to 108.4. So that is your consolidation range, and it does have bearish divergence, but largely for Bitcoin, we somewhat ignore that because even though it will eventually play out, I remember in the last cycle, it has perpetually had bearish divergence.
Yeah.
You really only mind the bullish divergence, which it rarely has. So that's a good buy signal, but bearish divergence you kind of have to ignore. The big picture view right now is that the broader view, I gave you 90.4 to 108.4, but I believe that the current range is really 90K to 120K. That's the range I see it in. We're going to get into coin stock in a minute, but I wanted to throw those out there because I wanted you guys to hear them. Ethereum, so the 2021 top was 48.67, and for me, it has to hold 27.56. That's basically a fib level that it should respect. It should respect. We shouldn't spend any more time beneath that. If we did, I would be like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. The RSI has to hold 50 for Ethereum, and it is currently. But again, we're get out of your bullish sentiment and think of what the charts are telling you. Okay, so classically, it doesn't matter whether we're talking Nvidia, Apple stock. It doesn't matter whether we're talking coin, and it doesn't matter whether we're talking Bitcoin or Ethereum. Ethereum has to maintain and stay above the 50 level on the RSI. Why? Because above 50 means that there are simply more people buying than there are selling. Beneath 50, it means that there are more people interested in selling than buying. The momentum is a problem. Right now, it is above it. So I'm just saying that we're at a critical point. The stochastic RSI is right now, and I might give either one of you a chance to respond. I know, Mark, we're going to come to you on Ethereum. The stochastic RSI is pointing straight down. Okay. Now, stochastic RSI is the purest version of momentum. It doesn't take into consideration averages. It's only ever telling you whether something is right now going up or down. And the stochastic RSI on the higher timeframes is pointing straight down. So it's hard to get bullish about something when those signals are being fired. Believe it or not, I am bullish on Ethereum, and it's for the same reasons that Tim just gave you, because between BlackRock and Trump and his boys, something's going on with Ethereum, and I just have to give it another chance. That, and I have too much money sitting on the sidelines not being put to use, and so I've decided to take risk on Ethereum. I'll put this out there. If we lose 2248 on Ethereum, that level, and I don't believe we will, but that's where I would put my stop loss as a investor, speculator. I'd put it right beneath 2248. Now, Mark, I'm going to give you exactly 60 seconds to respond and get your thoughts on Ethereum, sir.
Yeah, look, I think the problem I've had with Ethereum is they had an ETF, and what did it do? It dumped and continued to dump and dump. The issue I also have is the Ethereum Foundation keep minting new tokens and dumping them on retail. Every day I get fresh tweets saying that the Ethereum Foundation just sold more Ethereum. And the other issue I have, of course, is it has no capped supply. They can just turn on the money printer and keep printing Ethereum till the cows come home. So for me, I don't like it as an investment. I think the only thing people are hanging on by a thread is because World Liberty Finance is buying it up like crazy, and people are feeling something big could happen. I think if that wasn't going on, I'm not sure Ethereum would be in such a stable condition. We'd be turning off the life support. It's dropped from 22% in dominance all the way down. It dipped to 9%. I think it's back to 10%. If you look at the ETH BTC chart, it is a train wreck. Bitcoin has absolutely just crapped all over Ethereum as far as price goes. It would have been by far the better investment over the last 3 years. So yeah, I have some concerns there, but I think the only glimmer of hope is the World Liberty Finance is some good news comes there that could be a bullish catalyst.
Thank you. And you nailed it with the time. Somebody said that I talked too long and I'm putting you guys on timers.
It's your show.
Yeah, it's my show. It's my show.
Exactly.
First of all,
it's the Stocks with Josh show.
That's right. I love these gentlemen, and I think that they've crushed it. That's why I feel very proud to have brought them on and have them contributing the way that they are. Thank you both. Vigilant General, I just want to answer this question. Then we're going to do a lightning round on altcoins. So if you want us to cover an altcoin, you better drop it right now in the comments because we're getting ready to do 1 minute lightning round. You want 1 minute or 2 minute? First, tell me, what do you guys think? 1 minute or 2 minute?
I'm fine with 1 minute, Josh. I can get it done in 1 minute.
Yeah,
all right, then.
It'll be fast and sloppy, but we'll get it done.
All right. Real quick, Vigilant General said, Josh, you mentioned months ago that Bitcoin never retested 32K. Is it a possibility it may go down to this low? Larry predicts it won't go lower than 70. Larry's not crazy for saying that it won't go lower than 70, but that would probably mean that we'd have to get up to around 150K, in my opinion. I don't think, I'm not calling for 32K. I'm calling for a potential low between 50 and maybe 60, right? Somewhere in the range of the previous market high. What used to be resistance now becomes support. Basic. I'm not trying to overthink these charts or get caught up in the story. So I don't want you guys to walk away saying Josh said it'll go to 32K. I saw someone else's comment and they said, oh man, if it ever gets down to that number, 48K, they said, I'm selling everything and buying it. No, you're not. I'm going to call you out because I can tell you right now that nobody was buying Bitcoin when it was down at 15,500. Because when we've spent 400 days, and we were over 430 days in the last winter, you have had longer than a year of only one thing, a constantly downtrending Bitcoin market. You've seen your entire portfolio get obliterated. Everything in your Coinbase account is down 90% to 98%. If you had 50K, you got like $1,800, okay? And the last thing you're going to do is mortgage the house and max the cards one day because Bitcoin finally gets to 48K, because there'll be so much FUD and blood in the streets that people won't buy. I am going to buy because I bought the last dip. I've been tried and tested and proven. I hope you guys will follow me when that day comes. And a lot of the legacy coins that I bought, I had to ditch in March because they really weren't the ones that were best performing. And so we're going to buy stuff in the winter. We'll buy the Suis and the Solanas and the ONDOs and some other coins, but they may not be next cycle's fastest moving cars. Right. All right. So let's go through. These are the ones that I think are interesting. Solana, Ava, Link, ONDO, Sui, XRP. Those are my top round picks. Largely right now, these are the ones I've been trading recently. Then you've got FET, XLM, NEAR, ADA, OP, and MO. And you got Pepe and Trump Coin. I'm just going to randomly call it out. Tim, I'm going to let you go first. I'm going to start the timer. And we've reset. Which one do you want to cover, sir?
You tell me. I'm down for anything.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you the one on the top of the list. Actually, let's go old school and let's start with an unloved squeaky wheel, Ada Cardano. Let's show some love to the legacy coin.
Guys, I love Cardano. I don't know about unloved to a squeaky wheel. I love this coin already. Something that's going to be really big trend on how I treat a lot of altcoins right now. I'm going to show you on Cardano, and it might come up in others as well. Pay attention to where was the coin when Donald Trump was elected president. I'm talking about November 5th. Where did it go after that? And you can see here, we started at 33 cents, give or take, the week that Donald Trump was elected. We shot up, obviously, to 130. What's important about this move is the previous high this cycle coming back in March of 2024 was only at 78 cents, meaning the momentum of a Donald Trump presidency shot Cardano to new highs for the cycle, meaning there's momentum for this coin in the bull market. You will probably see some other coins that do not do this, and it gives me some concern. What I was tracking before this massive wick was a falling channel on Cardano, very similar to some other coins.
Bullish.
If you're channel with this big flagpole, this is also could be called
bullish.
But take a look at where that wick got down to, a very consistently strong support level called the golden pocket of Fibonacci retracement. We wicked right down to that level, bounced right back up.
I'm loving your technicals, Tim.
And so I know some people hate on Cardano. People can fight me in chat over this. Cardano is the best layer one. I'm not saying it'll be the number one of them all, but it's the most secure, most decentralized. When we're talking about Elon Musk here recently saying maybe we put the government spending on a cryptocurrency, there's not a single coin in this world that makes more sense than Cardano. And the charts, again, the momentum of the charts still put this in a very, very positive light for the rest of the bull market.
You nailed it. Good timing. On top of it, you're making me want to go and be a Cardano bag holder. I want to start accumulating. Tim, you did good. Mark, I'm going to let you have. I'm going to let you have my love child Sui. You take Sui for me, sir.
All right, I'm sharing the screen here.
I don't know that I can have. I don't know if I can try to share your screen. I'll see if I can plug it in, but it might mess up our whole layout.
Or maybe someone can bring up a screen. Maybe Tim can.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll bring up the screen. Give me one second.
But yeah, I mean, I think Sui has been one of the big plays that we've had. I've been calling this since 50 cents. Back when it was a little bit unloved, went up to $2. It came back to that 46-cent region. And Sui has been my number one since, I started on YouTube here. And it's been one of the strongest performers. When we saw in this most latest pullback, I think the last time I checked, it was around 30%. It had dropped, maybe it dropped a little bit more. I've been trading
from top to bottom. From top to bottom, it had a 55% recent move.
55%, so a little bit more because it dropped a little bit more today. But when it had bounced yesterday, because everybody thought that the meeting that they were having, the crypto jar, was going to be very bullish, and they talked about stable coins and didn't really mention a whole lot more. So I'm looking at this one. I've been, I looked to add it $3. In fact, on your show on Sunday night, I said $3 down at the 200 EMA on the daily, and it tagged that. Not only did it tag that, it went below that and shot all the way down to the 200 simple moving average at about $2.58. And this is why I talked about having some cheeky bids down there. You never know where it's going to get to. And on the show, I even said, look, have some cheeky bids down at these lower levels. You'll never know what it's going to wick down to. And of course, it did wick down to that. Now, often I've seen with these long wicks that you've seen, they are very bullish, of course. But a lot of times I see them partially filled. So it wouldn't surprise me if we came back down to that 200 EMA on the daily at around $3, and I'll definitely have a buy there.
You did good. You hit it right in the time frame. Guys, I'll just throw out, this is a very bullish candle right here. This long wicked candle is very bullish. This are weekly candles. These are 4 straight weeks where it's come down. In my opinion, this was
check out that Fibonacci retracement from the November low.
I think, actually, to be honest with you, I might have set this up for Fibonacci.
It's another golden pocket kiss.
Yeah.
From November of 2024.
November of 2024.
I think it's technically October, but yeah, if you look at the October low, that dip, that small correction, and you go to the top, that's a golden pocket kiss again.
Yeah. We talked about this here being a ideal buy price when we did that Sunday show at 257. And man, did that turn out? $3 to 257 was the buy range. I like it. I'm bullish on it. This is the time to take risk. If you haven't owned any Sui and you want to participate in the Sui run, I personally think this is the moment to do that. All right, I'm going to shoot it straight to you, Tim, and I'm going to let you cover Link. Go with Link, my friend.
You're choosing some of my favorites here. I love this. So again, my criteria that I look at here, where were we in March? We were right here around 2180. Where were we here at the recent December high? Way higher up here. We got all the way to above $30. I then take this look. I say, all right, that's a good momentum. We know that Chainlink is one of the most desirable coins in the real world asset space from institutions. You guys, the more you get to know me, you'll know institutional adoption is a big deal for me in this bull market. Guess where we pulled down to during this recent dip? Golden pocket, baby, right there, perfectly on the dot. We're now shooting back to the upside. Now, I have to redraw some things here because we obliterated a falling – well, we actually played a falling wedge pattern bullishly at first on a shorter time frame, but you do kind of have to look at this and redraw and realize we're in this channel again. Very similar movements to a lot of other altcoins. A falling channel's in play. Yes, we wick down below, but look at where our candles are closing. I had a target that I'm looking for, another purchase around 1850, give or take. Maybe it drops a little lower towards 1818, but big support here from a simple position. Then this should be a nice shot back to the upside. Go back to that weekly chart. Guess what? That's a bull flag once again, just like Cardano. Massive flag pull, flag consolidation. Very, very, very bullish chart.
Guys, like I said about people that won't buy Bitcoin at 48K or 32K, a lot of people are afraid to buy crypto right now. And I think that we did an emergency crypto video on Sunday saying it's time to literally buy right now, get your money ready. And it flash crashed. Everybody was notified literally within 15 minutes of that event. We came on about an hour and 15 minutes before the event. 15 minutes before the event, we concluded our video, and 15 minutes later, it all crashed and hit the prices we just gave. I'm telling you that we're not really far from that point. This is the time, in my opinion, to be buying. If you believe, like me, that we still have positive catalysts from Trump and ahead of us, and that the market's going to turn around, this dip was a gift. And I am not going to be, right now, I'm not fearful. I'm going to be more fearful when we make new all-time highs on all of these coins we're talking about today. So if you're not a buyer today, don't say that you'll buy Bitcoin in the winter, because you probably won't. Okay, I'm going to shoot over to you, Mark, and I'm going to give you I'm going to give you one that, to be honest with you, I think all of us could kill, which is XRP. Go ahead and talk about XRP for a moment. And what's funny is that I know that you haven't been a big XRP guy, but I don't want to characterize you, but I'll let you handle it.
I appreciate that. Are you going to bring up the chart for me there?
I've got it up, sir.
Yeah, so I think a few things that XRP has going for it. One, if the SEC lawsuit concludes, that's bullish. If they get the ETF, that's bullish. If they get the Made in the USA check for tax exemption, that's bullish. If they get included in this crypto stockpile, whatever that turns out to be, I think that's bullish. So I think XRP has some bullish catalysts, but from a chart perspective, it's looking pretty rough. It's lost the 50-day moving average there, and the 50 EMA on the daily. And again, we have that wick, and that wick came all the way down to the 100-day simple moving average there, Josh. As you can see, it actually almost came down to the 200 EMA on the daily. And again, I'm looking at this one saying, I think we come back and we tag the 100-day simple moving average sitting at around $2.05. I think we're seeing look at a lot of the same pans. You see that big wick on XRP, and look at the price to the right of it. It's starting to eat up that wick. There was a little bit of a dead cat bounce that we saw on the candle next to it, and then now we're starting to come down and eat up some of that wick. And what I often find is that these wicks, most of the time they don't get entirely eaten up, but a lot of the time they'll get about half of it or 3/4 of it will get eaten up. So I think we may come down a little bit more on these altcoins and hit some of these EMAs or these moving averages. But I'm not super bullish on XRP with this price right now. But certainly if you're dollar cost averaging, you've got other areas there at $2.28 and $2.13 that could find some support as well.
Because XRP is sort of an important coin for a lot of people, I'm going to let you hit it as well, Tim. But go if you could 1 minute.
Yeah, so I'm going to pull up the LUXALGO indicator, which I haven't used a lot, but if anyone knows me from the channel and stuff I've done with Josh for, love this LUXALGO indicator. I think we made a very significant support touch here with this wick. This is going to be very unlike the other coins, right? November lows way back here at 49 cents. We're not going to see, if we see a golden pocket touch here, something really bad happened, pulling back all the way to $1, give or take. What we did, though, was we had bearish divergence on the weekly chart, right? So we put in higher highs in price action, lower highs in oscillator action. You see the RSI and the LUXALGO
No, I do want to challenge you, and I'll give you more time. Yeah. But some folks don't even know what oscillator and all that means.
Okay.
So
Oscillators are momentum indicators. If you ever hear us talk about the RSI, the MACD, the stochastics RSI, what they measure is strength of movements, how fast, how powerful, and what we're looking at. It's a whole system to teach. But whenever you see candles close at a higher rate with two bumps, when the candles close higher, but look at this indicator here, when this is called an oscillator movement right here. When those go lower, it's called bearish divergence. It's a change in power dynamic that's showing that the bulls are running out of steam. Okay, so that's it in simplicity. We had a sell signal here with the reversal dot with negative momentum, and then the money flow came over here last week and started to move to the downside. Well, the targets, whenever I look for this, my trading strategy is I always look at that time frame's what we call a smart trail, this blue cloud right here. And it's a lot like a moving average. I don't know what moving average it is, but it's always tracking a significant, important moving average that should be strong support after a sell signal. To me, while this is not a golden pocket move, obviously XRP has a much, much higher January and December than it did in March. It had a sell signal on a high time frame, the weekly chart, that has hit its local target for that trade. I think XRP bottomed with this move with the rest of the markets. XRP, some people love it, some people hate it. It's not the most decentralized coin, but they got a lot of power. They're doing a lot of things. They're involved with some very big deals of getting Web 2 into the Web 3 space. I'm a big XRP bull, and it's funny because they're not the most decentralized crypto out there. They're not a pure crypto. I understand why people don't like them. I like money, and XRP, I believe, will make you money.
all right, I'm going to briefly cover ONDO, and I'm going to keep mine. Thank you, by the way. I love that coverage. I'm going to look real quick at the MACD. I like to throw that in because I teach a lot about it. And technically, on the daily time frame, we're not out of the woods yet. So we want to be above the zero. It means that at this present second, technically, we have what would be referred to as a sell signal. We got that when we had that huge dip. I actually think that ONDO is looking incredible. Look at this, guys. And I want you, this will just help us keep things in perspective. We are beneath the 50. And you remember how I said that this is a daily time frame, that we have to be above the 50. And we're beneath it. Not only did we go beneath it, but we fell beneath it, back tested it, and got rejected. So RSI is at today's moment in the hands of the bears. However, there's something else that I find very interesting. When we came back here and hit this level, we created momentum bullish divergence where the price was essentially here, but the momentum was up here. So price was down, but momentum wasn't in line with it. So that's actually bullish divergence. I would say that I like ONDO a ton right here. And I would say that if you want to just get a range, I think I have the stop loss here, but that's for those who are actively scalping this. If it loses $1.30, that would be a spot that you wouldn't want to hold. Why? Because you have these other bearish, things it has to recover. But personally, I think if we get one more higher dip and bounce off the 20, that would be such an incredible gift on ONDO. And that would be like around $1.10. And, I do a lot of day trading. And I'll tell you that when you get a wild wick like that, it breaks support. And then when it recovers above, sometimes it'll go back and test one more time and it'll produce a higher low. And that's your signal for time to load the boat. And so I personally think that you could put that stop loss right beneath $1.30 because we are in, I like to use pictures and illustrations. We do have bearish problems that we haven't eliminated yet, both on the MACD and the RSI. But if we get one more wick at $1.12, and I'm not saying I'm only saying this to underline my point. I could buy $250,000 of this for a trade. That's how bullish I am on ONDO. that's how bullish I am, because I think that this is just one that's hit too many radars, like BlackRock and the Trump boys, Liberty Financial, and it held up too well. I mean, think about the Ethereum chart and some of the others that we've looked at. This is just holding up really well. And where do I think it's going to go? I think it's going to go back into this ascending channel. I think that's exactly where it's going. I think it's going to break out new high, back test that high, and move into this channel, which I know sounds crazy, but if we get the altcoin season that Tim and Mark think we're going to get, in my mind, the low end is a $3 move. They probably have higher targets than me. Even when I'm feeling bullish, these guys might have higher targets than me. But yeah, $3 to $6 range for me on ONDO. This could be life-changing money, even for me. I don't say that very often, but getting the right position size with the right confirmation. What is that? It's a dip back and a higher low. It's a move back above 148. It's the RSI reclaiming 50. It's a turn up on the MACD on the 0 line. And then, wow, back to all-time highs and then back into the channel. I can't make it any more clear for you guys. And you know what? The one thing I can tell you, no matter what's being talked about right now today, I promise you that the technicals I gave you are the technicals I'll trade. And that's literally what I'm going to do. I tell people when I'm going to do it in advance. And then later on, I come back and I post an $89,000 win on a crypto. And, that's the trade. I just gave it to you. Now, you don't have to trade a ton of money what's the percentage move on that? Let me give it to you guys one more time. And this just gives us perspective of the opportunity. If we got that dip and we returned back to the channel, that's 150%. If we got to the middle of the channel, that's 233%. And let me bring this down a little bit. If we got to the top of my channel, that is 356% from here. That could work. You can make some money off of that. Yeah. All right. We're running out of time, so we're going to do a couple more. What else do we want to cover, guys? I'm looking at your notes.
Solana.
Stock up with Larry Jones. I'm looking over old comments, and he says if it gets to 170K, it won't go that low, and he's right. 170 is a possibility based on the Fibonacci for Bitcoin. 177, even 198, because it tends to blow past certain areas. But even if it tagged the top of the fib level that it's in, the range, which is 177K, if it tagged that level, I don't see it getting. I think we would definitely have to reevaluate how low it could possibly go. We're going to do 2 more altcoins. I'm going to ask you guys in the comments section, what do you want covered? I'm looking it over. I see a lot of XRP, but we covered XRP. Let's do ICP for my man who gave a super chat. I'm going to let you handle that, Tim, but please just 90 seconds on it.
Yeah, so ICP is one that I did hold. Let me find it. Where is it? I sold this recently for some more ONDO, and I think I bought ONDO and SUI is what I bought with it. Reason why. Let me go to this daily chart, actually. Remember I talked about the bullishness of the other coins? Take a look at where the high of March is up here at $52 versus the high of December, $34. Also take a look at the price. When Donald Trump was elected president, ICP was at $16. The plummet we just had the other day brought us down to $11. This is weakening momentum. And I love what ICP was doing fundamentally as a project, but it's hard to argue with the momentum of this movement so far. It's showing very, very bearish. That being said, I do believe we're going to start seeing, this is where I can't do it so fast, so messy, but we hit some major support levels on the daily chart. According to LUXALGO, we came down into this green reversal cloud. We hit some take profit projections. I do think ICP starts to make a move back to the upside, but what I'm not seeing, I always love to see buy signals start to come in. We're still seeing negativity from our oscillator, slight positivity in money flows. That's a good sign. But I don't have a reason yet to feel bullish. I don't see a major support level being touched. We've dropped so low that you're not really looking at a Fibonacci level as being significant. Yeah. I guess I could extend it way out here, but this is a coin that's clearly losing momentum. And so I'm just being fully transparent. I did hold it. I watched what happened. I said, that's it. It's this coin isn't going to make my top list. I'm going to diversify into winning coins.
All right. I'm going to
Tim, you're too nice, man. You're too nice. Dump it. Dump. This is the problem why we don't have an alt season. It was $700. Was it down to $7? 99% down. You imagine all the bag holders sitting there waiting, just hoping that someone will come along and buy it so they can dump your bags and use you as exit liquidity.
Oh,
Man,
my bad.
too nice.
I
Too
apologize. I saw the I want to apologize real quickly, Josh. It's the same thing for ICP. I accidentally looked at the injective chart. That was the injective chart.
You know what?
ICP
I could have swore it was the injection. I was thinking,
Yeah.
look,
you show my screen. I won't repeat the levels, but
no problem. No problem, brother.
This is the March high.
Because I was shocked that ICP was at $14. I was like, what?
I was looking at it. I was like, man, I don't feel like this is what I looked at last time, but I was going so fast.
You're doing great,
I just
bro.
saw the eye. But anyway, yeah, here's what I'm looking at. What I was telling you guys. Lower high. We went lower than November. This one you actually probably could. Let's just throw this on here real quickly from these highs. You bounced off the golden pocket twice now. So again, that is probably strong support. I don't want to FUD people out and say ICP is not going to get above these peaks. It could definitely go higher than $20. But I think as Mark said before, are we going to come back up? Let's just say $300. Are we going to come back up to these ranges? Probably not. Not what I'm seeing on ICP.
All right. Hey, Mark, I'm going to have you cover real quick. I'm going to have you cover Sonic, but not even with the screen. Just give us a 1 minute on it starting now.
Yeah, so I think Sonic has a lot of wicks to the downside. 91 cents is held incredibly as a Fibonacci level down support. So that's held up the price. They put their staking live, and there was a bit of a pump from that seemed to get a little bit sold off. There's a listing meant to be coming, but at the moment it's lacking a little bit of momentum. But I do feel that there are some accumulation going on there. There's a lot of people swing trading it. I'm still bullish on Sonic. I think that, it's better than Banana Gun. It trades on more chains than Banana Gun. The staking protocol went live. They're very young. They're only a few months. Remember, when we gave this coin, they were brand new at 2 cents. And we gave this coin in the Discord at 2 cents. And then we gave it again at 6 after it went up to 10 and pulled back to 6. And it rocketed up to $4.77. That was a 20,000% gain in there. And so I still think that there's some legs in Sonic, but I do think we're going to need some buyers to step in. And I think that listing could be the catalyst for that.
Well, I'm going to add my 2 cents, but I'm not going to be too mean. Sonic, I said this the last time, Sonic had to get above $2.12 to be, bullish again for me. And that's where it needs to go. Right now, it's sitting on a ledge of support that it seems to be consolidating on. But, if this ledge broke, this dollar ledge, then it's watch out below. So guys got to use stop losses. That's all I can say. We want to cover, we're going to cover Tau, but you're doing great. Both of you guys are doing great. Tim, Tau, but 1 minute.
Yeah, let's make sure I get the right one this time.
Oh, did I not show my screen? Did I not?
Yeah, it's not Concoin, it's Tau.
Yeah.
Did I have my screen up, guys, when I was covering Sonic?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Start.
All right, here we go. Make sure I get a good chart here going. All right. Let's see what's going on here, because again, haven't charted this one in quite some time. First thing I'm noticing, just looking at it, I like the high here in December, obviously, right here. It did come down, and we have a falling channel that's in play at the moment. Yes, we wicked down below. Not going to worry too much about that. I'm looking right now at the closes. We're on support right in here. Let's take a look at our oscillators, where the money flow is flowing back to the upside. So that is a very positive thing. A green reversal dot has come in. I want to see a green momentum on the oscillator itself start to flash. I know the MACD is still negative. The RSI is below 50, but they're both low and in position to start moving back to the upside. And if that happens, very minimal movement. Let's say we get a big come on now. We get a big breakout and we start to make a move to the upside. You just take that first wave of momentum. You move this over to a potential breakout spot, and we can find our way on Tau back up towards 660 in no time. And as far as longer term, I have not done any long-term analysis, and that's going to take me way longer than a minute to chart that one out. But there's your Tau.
All right.
Can I add to that the Coinbase has announced that they've got an upcoming listing for Tau. So I think that could be very bullish.
Very bullish, yeah.
For the coin, because it's been very difficult for people in the USA to buy Tau, and finally Coinbase are listing it.
Real quick, I want you to briefly, we've covered a lot for you guys. If you've made it this far, one of the things that I like to see happen in the videos is to get likes above 1,000. There's more than 1,000 people watching. So please pay the due, which is to smash the like. We love you guys. Appreciate you hanging with us and the support. And we're pleased and happy to spend this time giving you guys the technicals on these. Tim, coin. T-Shroom on your show, Investing Bros, mentioned how the coin discussion of the coin app and the search engines and those type of things. Can you break that down a little bit? And then I want to talk about the coin chart here.
Yeah. So what he's referencing is if you look back to previous bull market tops, Coinbase app on the Apple App Store shoots into the top 10, kind of gets up into the top 5, and sits there right before the top, sits there after the top. And what that communicates is a massive retail investment into, they want to buy crypto, right? So brand new people are downloading Coinbase. I know technically Binance is the #1 app worldwide, but Americans can't use Binance. So Americans use Coinbase. So what that tells us when it floods into the top 10, top 5 rankings on the Apple App Store is that there's a massive amount of retail interest at the moment. Right now, it's currently ranked number 127, so nowhere close to that top 10 ranking. It's not a perfect strategy. Every strategy that people develop is born to be broken at some time. But the concept of saying, when will the top come? More than likely, the top will come when there's a bunch of new, what I would call suckers, retail suckers in the space. We'll know when there's retail suckers when a lot of people are buying crypto for the first time on the Coinbase app, which is the best app in America to buy crypto on. So that's the argument, is that we're looking for that top 10, top 5 ranking, and that'll be a cautious sign. That'll be a worrisome sign. There's a lot of retail here. The perfect time to dump your bags on brand new investors and let the charts plummet.
All right, let's take a minute and quickly look at the coin chart. Now, I've got some thoughts here on this. I will be honest with you. When we got to the all-time high back in March, I was really surprised that at that time we didn't break above the previous high on Coinbase. If we had it, I feel like it should have been an event that we were above coin already, dipped back to this support at 288, only to go on higher. I almost feel like the coin chart is a cautionary tale. And either it also, because if you look at it, Bitcoin's made a brand new high, but coin hasn't. Okay. And so is it a little bit of a cautionary tale? Is it going to catch up? At the current spot that we're sitting, if people are cashing out of MicroStrategy and coin and the miners early, now I'm not saying this is the case. Let's just entertain it for a moment. If they're playing these early, and then they're going to ultimately cash out at Bitcoin when it gets sub 120. I'm not predicting that. We're just being hypothetical here. What we've got right now with the coin chart is a series of lower lows. And so I can't tell you from a technical standpoint how significant it would be if we could break this 430. And I'm a little bit concerned that we are so late in the Bitcoin move and we've not broken this 374 or 430. Both of these are significant. And it's not even an issue of wicking above them, because wicking above it would just establish these as resistance. Okay. Yeah. Wicking above and failing would just establish their resistance. We need one of them to cross above, and we need a new candle to open and close above. If that happened, I feel like it would be sending me signals that the bull run's going to last longer than I'm a little bit cautious of right now. And so the coin chart kind of speaks to me of, of a shortened bullish run. Am I crazy? Both of you guys, 60 seconds. I'm going to start with Tim and then go to Mark. What are your thoughts on my view of coin's underperformance?
I am not that skeptical right now because you got to remember we're going to be tracking coin very close to the rest of the crypto market, and this peak right here, November 2021, obviously that was the top of crypto. I don't know if my screen's being shared or not, but I can explain on the charts if we get shared. Let me know when
shared.
it's okay. Good. So the top here in 2021 was the crypto market top, right? Coinbase started in April. It had a small dip, rallied for the end of the bull market, and then the bear market started. It pretty much got started right before the bear market went over. But what I'm seeing here, two things I want to point out. A little bit of a head and shoulders pattern, inverse head and shoulders pattern being played out. Also, when you look at how this is moving right now, the fact that we are almost back to the highs of the last bull market, take a look, not at Bitcoin, but take a look at how total 2, total 3 have looked right now. We only recently, if I can get back here, we only recently came back up to those highs themselves around November of 2021. And so to me, if this chart, if these things were sitting brand new all-time highs already, total 2 and total 3, which are all of altcoins excluding Bitcoin, and then total 3 is all of altcoins excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. If we were setting higher highs on that already and Coinbase was lower, I would have concern. But to me, this almost looks identical to the altcoin chart itself, which means I think Coinbase stock is right on pace.
Well, I do like. I mean, let's entertain for a moment your idea of it, head and shoulders. And I had considered it a moment ago when I was looking at this chart. That if this did play out, let's just give it. Let's just give it a prediction here.
Yeah, let's give it. Yeah, so you have the bottom of this head up to that neckline.
Yeah, so we could do it at different places, but let's just take the most extreme scenario. It would be suggesting that. See, this is what this is. So you're looking potentially at a $3,600 coin. So I don't know. I don't want to leave everybody overly bullish or bearish. I'm going to remind you, I believe that we're still in the bull run. I believe an alt season is ahead. I believe that while we're speaking and you hear my voice, that between a lot of these alts we covered today and really just one more tap off of and make a higher low, I think that there's going to be fortunes made. I personally intend to be making a fortune. I am sitting on cash still. I've been swing trading. And if we get one more dip like that, I promise you I'm going to ride this higher. I think there's more legs in this bull run. So don't get misunderstood. While I'm bullish, I have to be sober-minded. And I think personally, if I had to, I personally believe what I just said. I think the total, I've been surprised, Tim, that the total market cap of all crypto isn't higher, especially with institutional adoption. And I think that the coin chart is speaking to it. And what is the story that it's telling is that there's not as much money sloshing around in 2025 and 2024 as there was in 2021. I'm going to quickly we're going to, all three of us, 1 minute only, Dogecoin. Can't sleep on Dogecoin. Dogecoin is the Bitcoin of the meme coins. Dogecoin made all of the meme coins come into existence. If you made money on meme coins, you got to thank the Dogecoin. Let's go. Tim, you start us off with Dogecoin. I'm going to let Mark talk about it, and then I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah, let's get in here and take a look. I went to the log chart, so I'm going to go back to linear here. Or sorry, the linear chart. So I went to the log chart. I like Doge. I like Doge right now because guess what? This is the March, April high. This is the December high. Clearly, big momentum came when Donald Trump was elected president, which means the current administration is what you want to see this be successful. Now we are sitting pretty much like this line could really be drawn a couple different levels. I'm using candle body closes from the daily chart rather than these two wicks because that's been where people really want to get the bounce going. We had a fake breakout above, but you can see several resistance touches right here. So we got a nice little falling channel, just like a lot of the other altcoin plays right here, suggesting we could see a big breakup back to these highs in short order, somewhere back to 45, almost to 50 cents again. But I just like the bullishness of this structure. This one is going to be, I think, let's take a look here from November lows. If you were to go to the election itself, we went a little bit below that golden pocket, but again, very strong support from a macro perspective, strong support on our trend where we currently are right now. Last thing I'll do, I just want to take a look at the oscillators and we will call this one. I'll send it on to somebody else. Not a buy signal just yet, because even though we have a green reversal, I want to see the money flow go back positive here on the daily chart to feel confident. But I do think we're getting very, very close to that.
Yeah, I love your analysis. I'm going to quickly give some analysis. I'm going to actually point out something. These are monthly candles, and Dogecoin is running in sympathy with Bitcoin when you see that it's a little bit different, but we also have this gravestone doji right here, and it's not a good monthly candle, and it's what gave us this massive dip down to 19 cents. However, we called on the show, Mark and I called it a buy between right around 22 cents. Where does that come from? It's not too complicated, folks. It's this previous area of resistance becomes support. Now it bounced. Personally, I think all the altcoins are cooking a little bit more, and it wouldn't shock me if we, have a little bit more of a downturn ahead of us. Like not much, but one more buying opportunity before we go higher. I like Dogecoin, and the big question that we really have is, are we going to get a brand new high in Dogecoin? And, can Dogecoin get to $1? Personally, with the price performance that we're seeing, I think it's realistic and on the table for Dogecoin to get to $1 in a peak flash moment. I'm going to tell you my thoughts on it is that you should sell it if it gets to $1. A lot of people are going to hold this thing because they're somehow going to believe if Elon Musk made, Dogecoin the primary currency of the X platform tomorrow, on the leak of the news, you buy, and the day that it's formalized and announced, you cash out. So, I met the Dogecoin millionaire at the some trade show. I think it was the Bitcoin conference. Yeah, it was the Bitcoin conference. He premiered his movie, which I believe is available on Netflix. Nice guy. And interestingly, so everyone knew him to make $1 million. He was actually worth like $2 million to $3 million off of his Dogecoin at one particular moment. And then it went all the way down pretty much where he started. So he went up from like 250K that he borrowed and sold things and maxed out credit cards. He became a multimillionaire with $2 million. And then it came pretty much within 50K of his original entry position. But interestingly, it's largely, he's back to being a millionaire. So I'm not saying buy and hold, won't work. I mean, it's worked for Dogecoin. Dogecoin, we are barely, let me give you the percentage point. So we are sitting right now, we're actually still sitting 64% off of the top. So the top wick of the last move. I would say that it is very possible that Dogecoin could have a monumental move, and it is possible that it could get between 70 cents and $1.20. But I've said this before, it would take a huge catalyst news event. And I'll just tell you right now, it will be a buy the rumor, sell the news event. And so if you try to hold on to it, you're just going to be, I want to take a derogatory expression, but you're throwing your money away because it's not wise investing. I have to thank both of you gentlemen for coming on this show. I thought that you did great. I loved how much we got filled into this show. Guys, if you want more technicals from Tim, you can go over to his show, Investing Bros, him and T-Shroom and his team, because it's not a small team. These guys are doing a ton of research. They have a lot of minds together collaborating on Investing Bros. It's a true bros channel. Go check it out and subscribe. And I think that Mark is unique in this space. I think that he is has a very, very strong intellect. He does a ton of research. He's not there's some people in the crypto space where they just kind of get in on the popularity and they talk. Mark's not that way. He's got a brilliant mind for understanding the space, and I think that everything he's putting out is valuable. Please go and subscribe to those guys. And we are so close to getting the likes to 1,000. I think that if you guys can reward us with one more push on the likes and get us over 1,000, then we will chart one more crypto for you. I see some requests for Shiba Inu. Shiba Inu's been neglected. It hasn't gotten a lot of love. Believe it or not, I actually did have it on my list as something to chart today. I think Solana deserves some love. But
Slide.
I'll just close out the show if I don't get 1,000 likes. I got stuff to do. Matter of fact, my wife's waiting on me.
We got
There's 1K.
There we go. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. All right, let's take a few minutes to cover Solana. I think Solana deserves its spot in this crypto market. I personally believe that the truly one of the most interesting leaders in the crypto space is the founder of Solana. It's actually him. Sometimes I like the price action, and sometimes I like the leadership. In this case, I like both on Solana. Tim, take 60 seconds and give us your best on Solana.
Yeah, so this is a coin that's just, it has been the big leader of this entire bull market. I know XRP popped off in November, but Solana started the special rally way back in September of 2023. Had a great rally here throughout 2023, early 2024, consolidated with Bitcoin, almost an identical time period of consolidating sideways, broke out, maybe not as crazily high as Bitcoin did, but you can see here, why are we looking here and saying we hit support more recently? Because this is the former trend line of resistance we've now tested several times. The wick, that nasty wick the other day, didn't even come down and fully touch it. I think that Solana, very special coin. The charts are looking great. We had some bearish divergence. Guess what? We retraced back to former resistance, turn it into support. So now we're just going to start turning our eyes towards when can we start seeing the support levels come in. We hit some take profit levels. What I'm going to be watching, as I do with others, I'm going to watch these oscillators. I'm going to watch for a buy signal. We have some green reversals. The oscillators are slowing down to the downside, but I want to see those turn positive, and then I want to see this money flow also start to go to the upside. This is one of the best tools that LUXALGO has. The feedback I've gotten from our community is they said just using this money flow is worth every penny you pay, because it tells you on these timelines when is money coming in, when is money coming out. It's a truly special indicator you can only find there at LUXALGO.
Yeah, guys, in the description of this video is a link for LUXALGO. If you use my link, you'll get a discount. We're seeing negative money flow on Solana still, aren't we?
On Solana, yeah. So right now on the daily chart, it's negative. What I would wonder if let's just come down here and look. It looks like the 4-hour chart, we have a buy signal flashing on the 4-hour chart before, and that money flow is starting to, you zoom in here, starting to tick back up again. So I know this is red, so people are going to say, oh, Tim, that's bad money flow. Don't pay attention to the color. Pay attention to the flow. A lot of money flowed out here on the 4-hour chart since this high back on January 19th. It looks like we just peaked out right here on February 3rd, and now we're starting to slowly but surely bring that money back into the space.
So like a lot of things that are looking ripe, they've not entirely fired off just yet. There was enough momentum to bring back the loss that had occurred through the tariff news, but not enough to begin to pump these higher. Wouldn't you agree, guys?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, let me quickly go. You have anything else on Solana you want to share?
No, I buy
it. All right, let me pop up my chart for Solana. I'm going to look at the big picture view, the monthly chart, and I'm just going to say that I've got the 5 EMA on, which I like to use with the monthly chart. You can see that largely when it no longer respects the 5 on the monthly time frame, it means you're in a downtrend. So pretty much right here, it was a definitive cross in the last cycle here. This was 132, right? And that was a rough cross, right? And after that, it came back to the 5, but it continued to fail beneath the 5. It consolidated down here for a long time. This was actually the cross up right here. And that was the cross, but the next candle didn't confirm. This candle crossed up, and this candle, from that point forward, we've been confirming. Now, I took you through that little 5 EMA on the monthly candle class just to tell you that currently it's still respecting it. And we're sitting on it. And we just want to see this come up a little bit more. We want to see it come back above $200. That's the sweet spot for the Solana run to continue. Now, you could choose to buy a little bit as it's kind of on its lows, but if you want to be a cautious investor, you actually wait for it to close on the daily time frame back above 200, that means that it would be respecting the 5, and it means that the move up would be it would be a trend. We are trending off the 5 on the monthly. And so there'd be no indication that we are out of the bull run in Solana, and there would be no indication of a breakdown. So I would say that at the moment, this is a bullish chart, but I like Solana more above $200. And Tim or Mark, I'm going to let you give some final thoughts on it. I'll keep the chart up, but you can give some final thoughts on it if you'd like.
I would agree with you. I'm looking at the 200 EMA on the daily, and I find with big corrections like that, coins come back and find it. They just do, and they just end up to be good buy zones. Whenever I see, and I'm talking about strong tokens, I'm not talking about tokens that are dying off. But Solana is a strong token. I believe it's only about 33% down from its all-time high that it made, just over 290. So I do like the 200 EMA sitting right at about $190 right now. Again, that would be eating up about half of that wick. It came down. It went through even the 200 simple moving average is a buy for me at 182 currently. So right in between there would be a sweet spot, 182 to 190 zone there. It's currently broken down below that level of 200 there. So I feel like coming back to there would be a great spot to jump in.
All right. Well, I'm going to add one more thought here on the MACD. If you guys follow my daily trades, right here on this candle, that was a sell signal. Okay. So this candle gave us a sell signal of momentum. And this is the MACD line, which is the blue line. And when it crosses beneath the 0 line, it means the bears have wrestled control. Now, it gets confirmed when the orange line, which is your signal line, crosses beneath. And so I'm saying this because just like we looked at the Ethereum chart and some other charts, they're not bullish yet. We need a radical cross up. We need a V-shaped move like we got back here, which similarly, you can see that it was in the similar spot where it had been bouncing recently off the 200. And then we had this huge green, beautiful candle, right? That's kind of what Solana needs to give us right now. It needs to give us a huge green candle breaking this high of 218. And that would signal, it would cause the MACD to reverse. It would cause the trade to go back into the hands of the bulls. It would cancel the sell signal that is developing on the chart. And likely we could then take this from 218, I would say safely back to potentially a new high. I mean, at that point, I would say we got a move that was pretty intense. And similar to what some of Tim's drawings, we do have potentially, we do have some similar bullish channel here. You know what I'm saying? We've got this bullish descending channel, but again, the trend is actually bearish if it remains in the channel. So, descending channels are bearish until they break, and then that's a bull signal. So if you see this big fat green candle break the top of this descending line, it's go time on Solana. If I had to be very, just unbiased, if I have to tell you that the chart is really in an ominous spot, getting ready to signal a sell, but watch if it doesn't turn up and reverse and get above 200. That would be confirmation buy 1. Confirmation buy 2 would be above 220. And then I would expect that we could get brand new highs off of Solana. Those are my thoughts on Solana. Unfortunately, there is some bearishness in these crypto charts. If you notice what I was sharing with you guys, the bears and the bulls are at that 50 RSI line. In some cases, they're right at the 0 line on the MACD. And the story, we had this wick down, right? But we've yet to have buyers flood in. So personally, I'm willing to take some risk here, and I will scale into position size. And just like I mentioned with Solana, above 200 is interesting. Above 220 is hold on to your pants. It's getting ready to fly. Thank you guys for showing up. It was a long show. I think between my live trade session, my time on Tim's show, I think I've been on YouTube for like 5 hours today. It's time for me to get off and go have dinner. I love you all. I appreciate you. Have mad respect for Tim with Investing Bros. I have mad respect for Mark with tribal trades. Forgive me. I appreciate you all for showing up. Smash that like on the way out and hit subscribe if you're brand new to this page. Peace and blessings, my friends. We'll see you tomorrow.